Hi everyone. So in the second part of the video here, I'll finish talking about some ways to format your documents, and then we'll go on to talk about how to do the works cited page. So remember we had said that you need to make sure to double click up here, and you'll be able to get to the header section, and then in the insert section you can go to the page number and add in the page number. Um, Also realize that for centering things, a lot of times what students will do is they're used to using tabs to move things around, which is a really inefficient way to do things. It's actually kind of strange because that's something that we would have used more often when we were actually using typewriters. I know most of you have never used a typewriter. But in a computer, we don't have to use tabs to move things around. So if we want to center this, if this thing is not centered, um, I can highlight it, I can go to home, and then you see I have these icons here that move things around. This one says that things are over to the left. This thing that says that things are over to the right. That's what you want for your header, your last name, and your page number. This one says that it's going to be centered. This one says it's what's going to be called justified, which means the left and right hand margins are even and you don't need to use that. But this one centers something automatically. So don't tab to do things, because tabs end up if you they when they get uploaded to other places, their computers might interpret them differently, and so things might move around on the page. Same thing when you're going to be dealing with your indent here. If you want to include a half-inch indent here, which you need for the beginning of your paragraphs, if you go to Home and go to the Paragraph tab. So here in the Paragraph tab, it gives you options to do things like double spacing, right? So you want things double spaced, and you can choose 1.5 single or double. We want double, okay? By the way, always check this box. It says do not add space between paragraphs of the same style. Otherwise, it will add extra space every time you hit enter. And then here under indentation, right here it says none because I took that out, but you can tell it you want a first line indent of a half of an inch. Say OK, and see how it moved that in. And so then what can happen is every time I hit the enter button, it will, so I can just do it here. I can just create a new paragraph in the middle here. It will put that in there. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to hit tabs. I don't have to hit any spaces or anything. I just hit the enter button and it automatically happens. By the way, I can also hit the top here. I can hit undo, and then all those things go away. So just keep that in mind. The in home, in paragraph, these, well, first of all, in home, you can have these icons that move things around to the left or the right or center. And then also you've got, this is where you can do your spacing and where you can do your indent. And again, for your paragraphs, you want what we call a first line indent. So that's what we have in terms of formatting our first page here. The next thing we want to deal with, if you look in, sorry, it's my screencast-o-matic. If we look in the, there we go, in the readings folder here, it says that we've got a works cited page format. So let's talk about works cited page format. So the works cited page is where you are going to tell us where you found the quotes that you're going to be using in your documents, right? So you're going to be using quotes to back up some of your ideas, and you need to tell me where those came from. Now, you could say, well, he gave them to me. He put them on Blackboard. But they actually came out of textbooks, and I want you to be able to use that specific information. And so a works cited page, and it's important to keep in mind here that it is a works cited page. It is its own page. Even if you have space at the bottom where you could include the works cited information, it always gets its own page. Okay. I used to worry about that some people are wasting paper doing that when we're turning things in on in hard copies, but now we're doing it electronically. It doesn't matter. It doesn't waste any pages, but you want it to have its own page. So we can say, look, I want where do I find the information about where something came from? It's in the works cited page. So you're only going to have one entry in your works cited pages. It's going to be where the stories that you're writing about actually came from. And so what this looks like here is it's got a last name and page number, just like every other page in your document. Okay, so it's going to be the last page of your document. This one was 15 pages long. Yours won't be 15 pages long. Yours will probably be 4 or 5 pages long. It says works cited here, and that's going to be centered, and we talked about how to do that. Um, and then this has 2 entries here. Again, there are 1-inch margins here, 1-inch margins here with where it says works cited. Not extra space between where it says works cited and the first entry. It's all that's going to be double spaced. And this is 2 entries. And look and see what's going on here. We've got an indent of a 1/2 inch here in the second line, right? This is this might seem a little bit strange. Notice that the first line here is all the way over to the left, and it's the second line that is going to be moved over to the right some, that has that 1/2 inch indent. Same thing down here. We've got our second works cited entry, and then it's going to be the second line that's going to be moved over. So what happens is in a works cited page, our entries are going to be, they're backwards in terms of how we do the paragraphs, right? In your regular paragraphs, it is the first line that is moved over to the right 1/2 inch. In a works cited entry, it is all the other lines underneath that are going to be moved over 1/2 inch. And you can see why this is done, right? There's a reason behind this, because we put the name of the author here first, and we alphabetize them, and it's easy to figure out, oh, here's one author, Edwards, and everything I know is about him comes afterwards. And then I can see the next one, Gaines, and then everything about him comes afterwards. And so I'm able to easily pick out one entry from the other because of what we call a hanging indent. Hanging means this first line hangs over. Okay, so the first line goes over to the left, it hangs over, and all the other lines are moved over to the right. And it makes it easier for us to see each entry. It makes the names of each author kind of more evident to us when they're going to be pushed over to the edge like this. And you don't do this by using tabs or something like that. If we go down to this sample essay that you have, right, there's a full page numbers all the way going through. It's got its works cited page in here. And if I highlight this, and highlighting means that I can do any kind of formatting to that I want, and I go back to my home and paragraph tab, you'll see something here. Oh, it's got a hanging indent. See, remember, we could have chosen a first line indent, right? But I chose a hanging indent. See what happens if I do the first line indent. See, it moves it so that the first line is moved over and the other lines are moved over. First line's moved over to the right and the other lines are moved over to the left. But I can go back and I'm going to change that to a hanging indent, which is what it's supposed to be. And you can see it moves the way in which we want it to be, right? And in fact, one thing to keep in mind is that this will be the same for all other lines that we have in there, right? It's all other lines. If this thing goes on more than 2 lines, all of the others will be moved on over, right? And so that's important to keep in mind because I hit enter, so it moved over to the beginning. That's important to keep in mind because sometimes students will think it's only the second line. It's really all other subsequent lines until we get to the next entry. I'm going to take all those out. I can undo and take all those things out and get it back to what it's supposed to be. This works cited entry, of course, as we said, to do that, you're going to go to paragraph. Sorry, not paragraph. Um, uh, home, and then you can see where we hit the center tab to put that. So that's what we do for what a works cited page is supposed to look like. And then we're a works cited page. So the poems and stories that you're going to be using, so this essay is a story, the next one will be a poem, are going to come from what we call anthologies, which are books that have a number of stories or poems in them. Okay, and so what I'm showing you here is how this actually works. And so here is an example of this. This is Carter Angela, The Tiger's Bride. Burning Your Boots, The Collected Stories, edited by Michael Neuwirth, Penguin, 1995, and those are the page numbers. This is all the information that you need. And I've color-coded this so you can see. Angela Carter, that's the last name and first name of the author. So you look at yellow, yellow. Oh, I need the first and last name, and then first name of the author. Then I need the title of the story, the title of the story or the poem in quotation marks. Then blue here, the title of the anthology and editor if applicable. Here I've got the editor kind of separately, but it goes in there in that same area. And then we've got the publisher who published the book, the year that it was published, and the page range that you find it in. So this is all the information that I need here. It needs to be in this particular order. It needs to have these punctuation marks. You need to have a period there. You can see where there are commas in there that you need, and so you need to follow along with this particular format. Now, underneath here, what I've given you is the raw information. I say Everyday Use was written by Alice Walker and appeared in the 12th edition of Literature and Introduction to Fiction, Poetry, Drama, and Writing, which was edited by X.J. Kennedy and Diane Gioia. I don't know how to pronounce that. And it was published by Pearson in 2013 and can be found on pages 491 to 496. Now, you cannot put this in your works cited entry in this format, right? Because this does not look like this thing. You need to go through and say, what do I need? I need the author. Oh, well, the author is Alice Walker, but I can't put Alice Walker. I need to put Walker, comma, Alice. All right. Now, what was the name of the story? Well, it's Everyday Use, and it needs to go in quotation marks. Oh, and by the way, I needed a period between the author and the title of the story. So all this stuff like was written by, that doesn't go in there, right? I'm giving you the raw data in here. I'm giving it to you in a way that you would actually speak this information, but that's not how it's actually going to show up in your works cited page. So I want you to go through the process of figuring this out, right? And so this document shows you where specifically all that information needs to go. So you have all the information that you need down here, and you need to translate it into this. You need to make it look like this. Okay. And again, work on that, and then again, you might not get it the first time, but that's fine. We'll go through and slowly figure out how to make sure that you do get it right. If you look again in the folder here for this week, you've got assignments. And if you look in the assignment folder, you'll see two things. One, the place where you're going to upload your rough draft for writing project number 1. And again, I want you to use your MLA formatting when you're actually going to upload that. But then also in there, you'll see your MLA formatting quiz. It's going to take just a second for us to open because the computer always lags. But I want to show you what's inside of that folder. Give us 1 second. Slowly, slowly. So you've got the instructions for this quiz, so you can open that and read that. You've got the essay that you're going to do. And so what this quiz is, there is an essay that is formatted incorrectly, and you are going to format it, right? And so that's what this essay is, right? Information here, right? So you need to add the appropriate works cited information. You're going to do all that. So the instructions will tell you what to do. You will open up this essay, reformat it, add in the appropriate works cited information, and then you are going to upload that here. And that's the MLA formatting quiz, okay? Again, if you do it incorrectly, I'll give you a 1, tell you to go back and work on it. And again, I expect to have to do that. That happens. Don't worry, don't panic if you have to do it multiple times. So that's what we have in terms of our MLA formatting. Go ahead and work on all of that, and then make sure to use that MLA formatting when you submit your rough draft number 1.